Good afternoon, everyone. I'm super excited about this. I have been thinking about trying out Clerk for a long time now and finally get the chance. It's not finally get the chance. I'm finally doing it. It's not about the chance. Finally taking time to do it. To integrate Clerk with Next.js and the Build in Public project that I've been working on. So I think it's going to be super fun. Let me get a quick tweet out and then I'll just kind of dive into what I've been working on and doing auth inside of it. Sweet. Let's go ahead and share this one. Cool. So this is the documentation that I'm going to be going through. I assume, well, it has app router covered, which is nice. So that's going to be the important part. And then where is my one over there? Cool. So let me go ahead and start this up and then I'll show there's not like, oh, not a whole lot to look at, I don't think. There's a lot of individual pieces. It has a lot to go forward to put it all together. But let me get it started. Nabil on Twitch, what's up? All right, let's open this up. And mostly what we have, I'm still kind of figuring out this dashboard. Basically, what this is going to be is like a kind of a media management tool that's going to use AI to help split clips and stuff. This is using Zeta for data. The interesting thing is I need to go back in and add a video to each one of these folders. And I still have to kind of figure out what the different, what the breakdown is of these. But let's just start by adding a folder to each one of these. And this should mean if we refresh this page, we'll see video show up. So there's no videos for folder 2. There's 2 videos for folder 1. Anyway, so this is all under a /dashboard route. And I want to gatekeep the entire dashboard and then could do things for individual pages other than that and other stuff. So anyway, should be fun. But let's go through the Clerk documentation. It's got a lot of cool stuff, I think, from what I've seen. So we'll start with installing this package. And this is already set up or like already supports the app router, which I think is huge. Have environment variables and it's saying to create local. Okay, so I have to go into the dashboard, and this is my next step, which I actually didn't want that in a new window. Where I've signed up for, don't want that either. Don't want that either. Okay, so I've signed up for Clerk, but I haven't like created a project yet. So I think this is where we'll go, where this is going to be split clip, and this is kind of cool, like allowing people a bunch of different ways to be able to sign in. So email address, phone number is interesting. Then they have Google as well. So I like that they kind of like tag these as popular. There's a ton more like GitHub and a bunch of other things. And we'll just start with kind of the basic stuff there. The cool thing, or one of the cool things, is they give you this built-in component, which I think is really nice. So we could just like drop this into our application and not have to build the login widget at all. Let me know for people that are watching if you've ever used Clerk and what you thought. So this is going to need to go into a .env.local file. I already have a .env file. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to paste those things into my .env because I have one API key inside of there that I don't want people to see. And I should be good now. So let me share the screen again. Cool. Then from here, it actually says like you can continue in the docs, which I think is probably where I am. So it's got Next.js here, and then we can continue in the docs, which I think, again, will just take me to where I was. Yeah. So we have the package. We have our environment variables. Now we need to go into the root components, and this is going to be the root layout file. So inside of the app directory, we go into root layout, and then we're going to wrap the HTML with the Clerk provider, I think is what it was. And this needs to wrap the entire thing. Just make sure that that's right. Yeah. So it makes sense to wrap the HTML element. This makes the active session user content context accessible anywhere within the application, which is perfect. Root layout is a server component. If you plan to use the Clerk provider outside the root layout, it will need to be a server component as well. Okay. So then we have the ability to define middleware in Next.js, and this is something that is basically going to kind of like before we respond back with either an API response or a page, it's going to run this middleware. And so for us, we're going to put this inside of just the Apple, or not the Apple. Where did I come up with that? The source directory. And this will be middleware.ts. And just drop this part in. It has this matcher thing, which I'm not a huge fan of this. Like, I think this is for just the getting started tutorial to define this really massive regex doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. That seems a little odd. But basically what this is saying is like protect all of these things. So any sort of page, and then any sort of /API/gRPC/ everything basically. So I think that's really just going to protect all of them. I don't know if they give you with this, your entire application is, yeah, so that's fine. So let's, I think that's saved. Yeah, we can get rid of the comment and let's just run. And I think that what this is going to do is if we go to the home page, or if we go to any page actually and try to refresh, it should do a redirect. And then now this is redirecting to this login page. Where is this? Oh, so this actually redirected. Interesting. Really hard when I have been attempting to watch live video while I'm experiencing bad network. Oh, that sucks. Hopefully it's not that bad today. Sorry if it is. Is that something that you usually struggle with? Is your network usually not that great? Smile, hello, what's going on? So this is actually pulling up a hosted page, which I would like to customize. This is how Auth0 worked, where it redirected you to a hosted page and then redirects you back. So I'd like to customize that in a second. Want to check, make other routes public. Yeah, so let's do, you can also define public routes in here. And we can go in, I forget exactly where this is. So in the auth middleware, we can return. So auth middle, oh, so inside of here, we would have a public routes. Yep. And then this would just be an array of routes. So we could make, that's not at all what I meant to type. We could make this work. And then I think what that means is we should be able to go to localhost 3000, and that one should not redirect us. Yes, that lets us go there. Interesting. Errors, initial UI. I have to figure that out. I'm not exactly sure why that happens. But if I try to go to dashboard, this should now redirect us back to the login page, which again is a separate URL. So it's hosted by Clerk, and I would like to do the embedded one. I think that's really nice. So that's what I would like to do. So they have a bunch of pre-built components, which are really nice. This is something that Auth0 I think didn't have. I don't know if they do now, but didn't have when I was there. So it's like if you needed these things, you had to build them all from scratch. And there is kind of like the opinion of having the ability to control what you build versus just accepting something that's built for you. But let's just give this a shot. So the user button allows users to manage their account information and log out, completing the full authentication circle, add it anywhere inside of your provider, etc. So let's just start. I haven't done this yet. Inside of the layout, or let's actually create a component for nav, I guess. And inside, what did I just do? What do you think of server actions so far? So I've barely tested server actions. Assuming they work well, which again I've barely tested them, so they worked for me so far. I love it. I think it's really exciting. I think it matches what an experience that we've had in other frameworks. So if you look at like form actions are things that are now in SvelteKit, they've been in Remix. They're in a lot of different places. I think they're actually going to. They were just asking about adding that to Astro recently. So I imagine we'll see it there too. So I'm a big fan. I think it's moving in the right direction of like the ecosystem of frameworks, and assuming it works well, which it has so far, I think it's going to be a good thing. So that's my personal take on that. RFC. Have Cabo or Pratik, hello from India. What's up? It must be late in India now. It's like after midnight, maybe. Cabo, have you tried Surreal DB? I have not. What? Tell me more. Tell me what, if you've used it, what you like, and if you haven't used it, tell me what you've heard of it to make you ask about it. But yeah, I have not tried it myself. All right, so inside of here, I think I'm adding the user. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, let's go back. It is the user button, and we can just copy this in and get an import for this. Yeah, cool. And then let's go to the layout. When will you open up a Twitch for more streams? What do you mean? So Smile asking, will I open up a Twitch for more streams? So I do also stream to Twitch, if that's what you mean. And I've been streaming more frequently than I have been to YouTube because I think streaming on YouTube has affected my YouTube video stats, which really sucks. So I'm being very selective about when I end up streaming to YouTube. So developer Cameron, what's up on Twitch? How's it going? Add the nav in here. So this should now show the user button at the top of this page, I believe, or not. So in the root layout, I just want to remind everyone that South Africa won the Rugby World Cup. How many people will pay attention to rugby? I've never really watched rugby, but I know it's super big, and I know that just happened. That's super exciting. Cabo, are you from South Africa? Is that why you brought it up? Twitch. Oh yeah, Smile. So I'm on Twitch as well. So if you want to subscribe on Twitch, you absolutely can. Timmy, yes, using Clerk inside of a Next.js 14 app. Yeah, so doing authentication. Living life, going down deep dive into LTI 1.3. What is LTI and user roles? I feel like I should know what that is based on the way you said it, but I don't think I do. Or at least I don't remember. So let me know what that is. All the way from South Africa. Very cool. Glad to have you. Thanks for joining. Let me know. Have people in the chat, have you tried Clerk before? Did you enjoy it? What was your overall thought? So I should be importing this nav, which has the user sign out or the user button. Why is that not showing up on here? Clerk components. Huh. I'm not sure what just happened there. But outside body? Oh, that could be it. Yeah, fair enough. So we'll put it up here. Clerk is really amazing for authentication. I have heard nothing but good things. So I agree. That's still not showing up. And this is inside the Clerk provider. And if does that show up? That does show up. My opinion of Clerk Next Auth is simple enough to justify not selling all the users' data in return for a better DX. Selling all the users' data is a very interesting take that you have. Do you think that Clerk is selling the user data, or do you think that you're selling it to them, or do you just mean paying for a service? What do you mean there? Developer experience is also a very important thing. DevCam, learning tools, interoperability. It's a spec education to integrate for tools, integrate into learning management systems. Very cool. I've never heard about that. That sounds really fun. Sujoy, I like the user profile and settings options available for user in the client side. I agree. I'm interested to find out. Chuts, they've got enough money to sponsor creators all over the place. There is no free lunch. Again, still don't know what you mean there. If it helps, this is not sponsored, but them being able to sponsor stuff is also a good thing for a lot of reasons. Smile, I'll notice more React features and are released in Next.js, but the problem is Next.js is tied to Vercel, What is your take on that? I think I know that we can deploy outside of Vercel, but I think it's harder. Vercel, so a little bit I do know, or I think I know, is Vercel obviously is very optimized for Next.js. And I think some of the things that they advertise being available, other hosting providers have to then kind of reverse engineer and figure out. Like if Netlify wants to match feature sets, they have to go and figure out how to implement that themselves to keep up with the releases of Next.js. So that, yeah, that's definitely something to pay attention to. I I don't know. It doesn't worry me. It's also like Vercel also has to make money, so I get that too. So I think I also realize why this isn't showing up. So I think that's because I need to actually log in. It's probably what it is. So I'm going to log in with a Google account. And this redirects me back to the dashboard page, and I see my profile thing here. So I have manage account, and I think there's a built-in, oh, it's a pop-up. So there's a built-in pop-up for managing the account, adding an email address, connecting accounts, security for, oh, that's interesting. Weird. To set password. How does the set password, interesting. Does that mean I could then just log in with my Gmail account or my Gmail email and then use a password? I don't really know. Says the device. Oh, the security is down here. Cool. Anyway, I think that's cool. Auth or Clerk, which will you choose? There's no like easy answer. I am very interested to try Clerk. So I actually worked at Auth, so I have a good amount of experience with Auth. I don't have that level of experience with Clerk. I will say there's a few things that are nice with Clerk with their SDK out of the box. Having this kind of widget here, having the profile update stuff, that's really nice. And then also, what we'll get to is being able to define your own login and sign up components inside of the application is really nice as well. So, did you try iOS native development, or you never put attention to mobile native development? I have done a little bit of native development several years ago, but it's been a while. Yeah. If you're using Google to sign in, you can add additional security by adding a password, but it won't ask for a password. Like you set password, then you can log in through email and pass, and that email is automatically verified. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. I don't that seems like a silly option to have though, because the benefit of me signing up with my Gmail in the first place is so that I can log in with my Gmail credentials and I don't have to create a separate set of credentials. That seems like a weird use case, but I do understand the use case, I guess. All right, so let's go. Oh, not to, I probably don't want, yeah, I don't want the demo. Have you tried ChatGPT to work out issues? I have used ChatGPT a fair amount to answer questions and issues and stuff. Absolutely. All right, this is the thing that I want. I want to create custom sign up and sign in pages. So this is an interesting thing. I don't think I fully understand this syntax. So create a new file that will be used to render the sign up page. In the file, import the sign up component from Clerk and render it. But why? What is this page syntax? Build your sign in page, same thing. I don't understand what this syntax is for this route. So it's in the app directory and it's got a sign up folder, which does make sense. Then it's got a nested sign up thingy, and then it has the page.tsx. And then they are just using the embedded sign up here. What I don't understand, can someone explain this to me? What is the double brackets and ellipsis? I don't know what that is. And they talk about this. This is the guy that shows you components with Next.js optional catch-all route. So dynamic segments can be extended to catch all subsequent segments by adding an ellipsis. Yes. Catch all segments. Yeah, I don't know why this needs to be like, why not just create this as sign up? Like, why do we, I don't know. Catch all segments can be made optional by including the parameter in double square brackets. Okay. So that last part of the route is optional? That seems weird. So for example, this thing would also match slash shop in addition to shop slash shop slash. Okay. Okay. So it's saying it might have additional things after that. And then you get to name that segment. So in this case, we're naming this sign up. But then what would we do? Like, what would it's just weird that they're like Clerk isn't doing anything with that. So I don't really get it, but let's just roll with it. I think it's another way of creating pages. But what pages are being created? Because it's like we're creating the page ourselves, right? Like we did this. So I don't know how it's dynamically I don't know what dynamically it's doing, I guess, is the way I'll put it. But that's okay. So we'll do sign in. We'll take their sign in stuff as well. This is the number one of the number one issues that people have with Auth0 is not being able to do just this. Is define your own, like I got this question all the time. Define your own um components or pages for sign up and sign in. So I'm going to hide my screen again and go to the .env and paste in the Clerk stuff. So after we sign in, after we sign up, I want to take the user to the dashboard, and then we will have the sign in URL be sign in, the sign up URL be sign up. And I can show this again and visit the new pages. So I think that works. So let's go back to the app here and let's go. I wonder if it is it smart enough to redirect me away from it did. But interestingly, it cannot render when a user is already signed in unless the application allows multiple sessions. This user sign in, the application only allows a single session to the home URL. That's interesting. So I can't. I wonder if I can customize. I wonder if I can customize that. Like if they're already logged in, can I customize where they go to? Because ideally I would like for them to go to the dashboard. So if I go to the sign up component, does this take any props? Appearance, routing strategy, path, redirect URL. Either Amalinity, what's up? How's it going on Twitch? How are you doing today? Redirect URL. So I'm wondering full URL or path to navigate to after successful sign in or sign up, the same as setting after sign in URL and after sign up URL is the same value. So we don't want that exactly. The full URL path to the sign in page. I actually want like you can use redirect in Next.js. Maybe, but I would have to check I would have to check the user state, which might just be fine. Which page is this on for auth middleware? Oh, this is when I was looking at the public routes and stuff. So I think there was a page that if I read user in the session data in the app router on the server side, I can run the auth function, which at this point, I'm really doing like what they already do for me. But I could say if there is a user ID, redirect using, nope, redirect this to the slash dashboard. I think that would work. James, I got you with this. What do you need? Yeah, I just want so by default, it redirects if the user is logged in and I try to go to the sign in page, it redirects the user to the home page. But they really should be redirected to the dashboard page. So that's what I was trying to control. And I think this did it. Yeah. So that fixed it where I can customize this using just React. And this is really cool because with this auth helper now, I can get a reference to the user ID really easily. So let's go to sign up page and let's just add the same logic. And we'll need to update all imports. Cool. So that should have the same logic there. So we have sign up and we have sign in. And then we have our log out. through here. So we could go to sign out, and then we could try to go to dashboard. This should redirect us to the sign in page. Okay. Why does this look different than, and it keeps the redirect URL in the URL, which that may be why they're doing the dynamic route, so they can have access to those query params, but I would think the query params would be in there regardless. But if I go just to sign, oh, I guess it is. Okay. So then we need to add some styling on this, which is fine. So then I would log in. This is all again. Well, actually, this probably switches domains. Well, that goes off to Google, yeah, which makes sense. And then this should redirect us back to the place that we want to be. And now we see that we're logged in. So that, like, super easy, super, super nice. Now, the thing that we can do is we can go to Zeta, and for a given folder, we can add a probably, I wonder what is the user ID actually? User ID is a string. Okay. So for all of our data, we want to associate that with a user. So we can have this be user ID. Does not need to be unique, cannot be null. Can I type in null? That seems stupid. Okay. Yeah, I don't want that to be that. So let's log this out, user ID, just so I can see what my user ID is. So let's just try to go to sign in. They should redirect us back to the dashboard page, but we should be able to see the user ID, although I do not. Let's make it's interesting. This is a lot of text in here. I'm struggling to choose between going web dev, JS, or iOS native development. How did you choose when you started? Honestly, I just picked something and took a Udemy course, and I did. At that point in my career, I had been programming for a while, but I was looking for something new, and I did do a Udemy course on Android, a Udemy course on iOS, and then I did a web dev Udemy course, and I enjoyed the web dev course the most, and that's what I did. That's basically it. So I would say find what you enjoy and just try stuff out. So no sign in user in the path. Yes, to make the route accessible to both sign in. Yeah, don't want that to prevent authentication from running at all. Okay. After auth. Okay, so that's just the same type of stuff. But did this not? Oh, I went to the sign or I went to the sign in page. I should have gone to the sign up page. So this should give me access to the user ID. Cool. So I'm going to copy this. And then, yeah, Timmy caught it. And then I'll just paste this in for not null user, but I'll paste it in there, paste it in there, and then those two records are associated with it. Now, when I create a new folder and I go into the new folder or folder form, when I create a new folder, it's going to do all of this stuff. What I want to do is get access to, so I could call that auth function again. And I want to get a reference to the user ID and actually probably do this first and say if there is no user ID, we can redirect. I have to think a little bit about what exactly I would want to do there, but redirect to the home page and return that redirect. So we're not going to do anything in the database. And then if there is a user ID, then we will attach the user ID to the user ID here. Now, does that give me? It doesn't quite give me an issue there, but what we should do is we should run a Zeta code gen, which is going to get now if we look inside of the Zeta file, we should now see we have the user ID for a given folder. And what I would like to do is have this be a type of folder. Does that work? Does that not have? Is not assignable to property ID is missing. That's because we want to create the ID. That's one thing that is kind of I struggle with a little bit at times because this is saying create, it's saying that it's an omit editable data ID and partial, which is kind of gross. Would we actually do this? Update. And I don't know what the identifiable part is, but that will probably give us something that will TypeScriptily be passed in here. But that's kind of gross. So this omit editable data folder record. I don't know what editable data is. Extends Zeta record. So it's a record of type folder record, a Zeta record of type folder record, and then we're omitting the ID property, which is the thing that was just giving us an issue. We could probably get rid of that, I think, and that would be okay. But what we want to do is just see as we create a new folder. So let's open up the dashboard. I think that's already loaded, and we did a folder. Oh no, it didn't load. There we go. Okay, so now it's loaded. So if we did a folder 3 and submit, get a folder 3 here. We can navigate between folder 1 and 2. And if we go back into the table, we see folder 3 now has a user ID. So now when we create folders, we're able to associate that with users. And the cool thing is at any given point inside of this application, we can reference that user ID to be able to get whatever we want. So another example of this is if we go into the folder list, we can call get many and then filter based on the user ID. So we would need to call the auth function again, get a reference to the user ID, and query based on that. Is that not how that works? Smile, what did you enjoy in web compared to mobile? I think it was just easier to create stuff. I think it was harder to just create things with Android and iOS than it was to create in the web. You needed more tools than just a browser and an editor. You needed emulators or a phone. Publishing to the iOS store, especially, is a pain. You have to pay $100 a year. Publishing to Android, I think, is like a 25 a year, 25 one-time fee. I can't remember. But there's just a lot more to it. With this sort of stuff, it just made more sense to me. So this is a personal preference. It's just what I've enjoyed, but that's what I decided to go with. And I've been doing web now for I don't know how many years, since 2016. So 7 years. My app on dev environment is way faster than mine, probably because you're using a good database and you're an amazing coder. I'm probably not an amazing coder, but I have done it for a while. And database has certainly been good. So I certainly enjoy working with Zeta. That's worked out really well so far. So, this is, why did we wrap this whole thing? I don't think we need to wrap that. Get mini dot filter. Is it filter first? Yeah, I think that's what. So I think it's filter first and then get many. Yeah. And let's go and grab the object that we're going to put in there. And let's put it in there. Is that not right? Filter null. Oh, it's just saying if there is no user ID. So this is another case where I guess we could just have that same thing if there is not a user ID. We can redirect to the home page, and then that will get past that. Okay. So that means if I come back here, we should still see all of our folders, but if I were to change folder 1 to add an S on the end, we should see that folder disappear now. So we just have folder 2 and 3. So now we have the data associated with the user. We're also querying data just based on the actual user. Cool. So that makes sense. MongoDB is slow. Oh, it slows down your whole app process, but I fixed it now. Yeah, you can also do like a hosted MongoDB with MongoDB Atlas or something like that. So you could absolutely do that too. What about the choice of stack going for React, Next, Vue, Next? Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like people are very opinionated, which is great. People really enjoy their tools. Vue and Next are both great options. React and Next are both great options. So whichever of those makes sense for you, just do it. And if you realize you don't like it, try something else. I wouldn't overthink it. The only caveat I have for that is if you're looking for jobs, I would then be intentional about learning one that's going to offer the most jobs. So so a couple of comments. Dev is here from Clerk. This has been super smooth, by the way. I assume you just kind of joined in. This has been super smooth, exactly what I expected. A couple of favorite things so far in comparison to Auth0, which they didn't have, is the widget up here for like user management. This whole thing is something you'd have to build from scratch with Auth0, so this is nice. Also, the fact that you can customize, I guess I have to sign out to do this. You can customize or actually just add in an embedded sign-in page where it's not redirecting you to a hosted one. That's really nice too. Something that people ask for in Auth0 all the time. Also, Demetrius, who used to be at Zeta, is now at Clerk, is saying no longer paid to say this. With all the new recent Zeta releases, it really has so much good features built in. Highly agree. Absolutely agree. I'm super excited about a few things with this. So doing built-in search capabilities, and then also getting into adding AI embeddings into a vector column inside of Zeta so that I can do AI like questions around that data, I think will be super cool. So I really love that they released dialects for I don't even know, Kaisali? I don't even know what that is. Kaisali. Keasley. I figured someone would correct me. It's like the old cliche, like how do you know the right way to do something? Post the wrong way and they'll tell you. Cool. So I mean, without going deeper into this, it is another ORM, which this looks like it's closer to SQL. Just the fact that it references join here is closer to and select from and select. That seems like it's closer to like regular SQL, which it talks about being type safe SQL builder for TypeScript. So that's nice. And then, yeah. And then the other RMs. What was the announcement on this? So Zeta ORMs? I almost said ORASM, whatever that is. ORM integrations. Are we adding SQL access? Oh, so cool. So I missed this. This is on August 30th. So you can actually send SQL directly. So it runs Postgres, which I knew. Automatically replicate to Elasticsearch for full text search, vector search, super cool. And then I'll be working with file attachments and doing more with that. You are a very good ex-employee, Dom. I appreciate it, and they do too. Postgres, we had previously not exposed this protocol directly. This is partially due to technical reasons. Yep. Anyway, now you can give SQL access to the Zeta database, which I think is really nice because people like love working with Postgres and people have a lot of existing like workflows with Postgres. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So that's super cool. And then we have I need to actually read through more of this. Where is okay, so Keasley, I should just continue to call it Kaisley to be annoying. So there's Keasley integration, Drizzle, which I've heard a lot about. I've never used. So that's cool too. You know what the cool thing is? I don't know. Do these have the ability to, is there a Prisma integration? And does it have the ability through these integrations to generate the tables? Because these are showing queries. But one of my favorite things about Prisma is the ability to push a schema. So like if I have a Zeta database and I want someone else to be able to like create their own, can I use Prisma or Drizzle and then or Keasley and then have somebody else run a Prisma migrate, which pushes those tables to Zeta so they have tables for them and then be able to populate it with sample data. That's something that I've wanted to set up. Our Learn Build Teach site is using Supabase, and I still haven't set up Prisma just to do that part because it's super useful for that. The dialect for Keasley is what allows it to introspect the DB and build out TypeScript types. That's cool. Yeah, the TypeScript integration with Zeta from the beginning has always been one of the coolest parts. And then you can test SQL right inside the playground. When's the last time, like genuine show of hands, when's the last time people have written an actual SQL statement with just SQL? It's been a very long time for me. Like I have not done that without something in front of it in a long time. Recently, because Planet Scale console. Are you using Planet Scale, Dom, for something? Dev, you wrote raw SQL last week. What's the use case? When were you not using an ORM? It's a one-off query. Yeah, just doing some Clerk and Planet Scale webhook stuff. Cool. Not in app. Yeah, that makes sense. It's not very often though. I think we can probably all agree with. Marco on YouTube said, I have done that today and over the last 10 days. Nice. MS SQL. So you probably, is that something I imagine, Marco, that you do on a regular basis, I imagine. Also, Stony just joined, who's been with us all throughout here, which is nice. It wasn't me, it was ChatGPT. That couldn't be more classic. Like the question should have been, who has written a SQL statement from scratch without the help of AI in the last however long? Yeah, Supabase does have a really neat AI integration into their SQL editor. I agree. Exactly. Then not me. Yes, exactly. So one question I have, since we have the Clerk people in the chat, can I customize the styling of this? And I don't know, was this covered in the docs? So let's go back to a couple different ways. I like it. Let's see if I can find like a docs way to do this. So custom sign in, sign up. And this, all this references is customization. Okay. Yeah, the search window at the top. The appearance group. Okay. Oh, so here's a couple of things. Or just raw CSS targeting the open class. Cool. I like it. I wonder what, so I guess I probably couldn't use Tailwind to do that. So if you're having to target the classes that they give you, I probably couldn't use Tailwind. You totally can. How does that work? Do you have to use like Tailwind apply, like define classes and then use Tailwind apply? Aha. Yep. Got it. Makes sense. Cool. And I do remember seeing this, the appearance prop. So you install themes and you get a few different, let's actually try it just to see. This is cool too, by the way. Like, I'm a big fan of Auth0. Like I work there, my former teammates I love and miss and enjoy them a lot. But this is really cool because I feel like Zeta, not Zeta in this Clerk in this case, has several things that are just already nice compared to what people were looking for out of Auth0. And this is one of them by far. So if we did the sign in, we could just import this up here, and then it takes a property of appearance and then an object base theme dark. So this, I think Auth0 building blocks as far as back end low level pieces are really well thought out. Yeah, but we definitely remove a ton of the headache. And I think that kind of makes sense. I think it's kind of also the audience. Auth0 was getting more into kind of the space that I think Clerk started in. And Auth0 did a really good job. I think Auth0 was one of the first to do a really good job from an auth perspective of doing server side and client side auth. And I don't know this, I think that it has influenced everyone that's done it since, which I would imagine includes Clerk. Yeah. So big inspiration is what Dev says. I was so proud of that. Like I didn't do it, but I was there when it came out and I was like, this just really works amazingly. And so it's nice that Clerk and I don't even know how new, like Clerk is new to me, but it's been around. I don't know how long. Like when did a Clerk Next.js SDK come out? In the last year, maybe? I don't know, maybe longer. But it's just nice to like be able to start and then have all those things just ready to go, I guess. I think we've been around for like, you've been around for 8 or 10 years. Is that a joke? Surely not in the same like 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4. Yeah. Okay. So when would like If Clerk has been around for 3 to 4 years, 8 or 10 years, if Clerk has been around 3 or 4 years, how recent is the like Next.js integration? And the cool thing also that you already have is the app directory already just figured out and done too. Like you've already got that figured out, which is nice. What was Timmy asking? Since Redis is really fast, I've been playing with Redis for a long time. It doesn't beat Supabase, but it really beats Mongo. Yeah, it's all about specific use case. Like Redis is optimized for certain things, and it's not. I don't think it's really truly meant to be compared against the typical use case for something like Supabase or Mongo. I don't think. You combine them. Yeah, they both have their own benefits, is what Sony said. Yeah, absolutely. So Redis might be the primary to deliver results, then should Mongo for backup. Not exactly. Again, just like different types of data and stuff. Dom, 3 to 4 years consistently building our current identity, but I thought Colin and Brayden had been working on it for a while. Yeah, y'all figure out your whole company story and then you let me know because I don't know it. App directory integration is insane. I'll be teaching my new app directory workshop in the next month. Do learning in real time with Dom. I love it. I couldn't have it. Dom, do you want to join, or Dev, do y'all want to join and just chat for a few minutes? I can send you a link and you can just come live and chat, which I think would be fun. Oh, also you said Dimitri is Clerk. I didn't catch that. Great job. Great job. All right, let me get a link and I'll go send you a DM. This is dangerous too, because I don't know. You just really can't trust some people. You know what I mean? I don't know do we fully trust? I think I do. We'll see. I'll listen last one with my connection. Cool. So Dom, I sent you a link. Feel free to join. I'll bring you on. Did we try? We didn't try the theme yet to see what the dark theme is. So refresh. This should be a dark theme. Yeah, cool. Easy enough. So I'm curious. That's cool. From there, use a pre-built theme. They have dark, obviously. Does it show you how many different themes there are? Set of theme. Okay, so let's see on this page. Okay, default, dark, shades of purple. How did y'all how did Ahmad Away sneak his shades of purple into this? Are these just like, that's hilarious. That's so funny. Did he build it himself? Like, was that something that he did so that he could be a part of the themes? That's hilarious. That's so good. Also, it says building a custom theme, which I think is cool. I'm glad this is documented well too. 3 different ways. So global CSS styling, passing custom CSS classes. Okay. Passing inline CSS to your Clerk options. Cool. I love it. This is figuring out how to target the classes and stuff, I think. So let's go down to Tailwind. And Sony's saying use Redis for data that needs to be fast and Mongo for more complex data storage. Keep in mind that both are object storages and do not have a query language and may not be the right solution. Yeah, the database world is a mess, to be honest. Like for which database you're using to matter, you have to like it just doesn't matter for a long time. Like you try to choose in a way that you'll be choosing the optimal database for what your use case is. It's just hard. It's hard to understand all the intricacies of databases enough to really choose them. So Jacob, another man, all the Clerk people are coming out. I'm glad you did. Jacob, what's going on? So I have gone through, I mean, really like all I need from Clerk at this point. And it works really well, which has been fun. So what's up, friend?
What's up, dude?
You got your whole company showing out today, by the way.
You know, I drop it in the Slack and we start flocking.
I didn't know. I probably should have sent y'all a reminder that I was going live, but I'm glad you caught it.
Yeah, I you know, I'm obsessed with Twitter and I just sit on it and refresh it all day waiting for your tweets to come up on my feed. So that's basically what happened
It
there.
usually works out. I like that. That's a good plan too.
So how you been, buddy? I miss you.
I know. Me too. Where are you going? You going anywhere soon? Did you go to Next Conf? You didn't.
I
You?
didn't. No, we
Yeah.
actually just like closed on the house, so we just
Yeah,
been like
sick.
running around like chickens with our head cut off, getting that set
Nice.
up.
Good deal. Congrats. I saw the picture. It looks nice.
Thank you so much.
Love it.
Such a crazy like everything they tell you about this market, it's so true.
It's true and worse.
It's absolute insanity out there right now.
It is. Yeah, we moved into our new house September 1st, and we'll finish selling our old house on the 14th of November. So we have 2 more weeks
you
left.
moved
Yeah.
in while still in the selling process.
Yeah, it did not work out well in our favor.
Yeah,
but we're here and almost done. So
love that. Love to hear that.
Yep.
Hell yeah. I think the next thing I'll be at is I'm going to React Summit in New York.
Oh, when is that?
Just a little drive up from me. I think it's the 5th. Is it the 13th to the 15th? I think in November. I think it's in a couple weeks.
Yeah. They messaged me about that one.
Because because they run the conference out in Amsterdam, I believe, usually. Yeah.
Yep. And they sent me a message to let me know that New York was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, just to be clear, are you asking me to speak? Are you paying for me to go? And it was
you just letting me know.
Yeah, it was neither of those. But I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to do that in November. But I also have always wanted to go to the one in Amsterdam. Same. So I'm hoping that I like snuck in the very obvious message of I want to go.
Yeah, I definitely want to check the Amsterdam one out. And then I think another comp that I don't know if we've finalized like what we're doing with it, but like personally, I'd love to go see like that conf, which I haven't been to yet. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming you've seen me like advocate for this all over the internet. Actually,
yeah. And then I got on a call with
did you talk to Clark?
With Clark for like I think we spent like 2 hours our first call, just like
good deal,
never ending friendship that existed on that call.
That's how it, man. So that conference Texas is not the biggest.
Yeah.
But like Clark is one of the best.
Yeah.
And
good dude.
The speaker lineup is nuts.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And he's like super impassioned by like,
yes,
me and you have talked at length about this. Like, you know, this isn't a knock on any current conferences, but I think that coming back from the pandemic, there's still a lot up in the air of like what a conference should do for somebody. And like, you know, I feel like everything's gotten more expensive. And so the tiering for sponsorships have gotten more expensive. And, you know, I feel like I've asked it a million times and there's not really a good answer yet of like what is the value anymore? Right. Like for either side, as an attendee, we talked a lot about that. Yeah. As a sponsor, like the conference yourself, like what are the things that you really like hold dear? And I think talking to Clark, you know, it's one of those things where he's like, I just want to like open doors for people. I just want to like make people feel like they're taking something away more than they're getting something shoved in their face. And I really like that, like really rung true for me. And plus like my last name is his first name. So it's like, why wouldn't we be best friends?
And so all of what you said is true. What is so crazy is he ends up having these one-on-ones with so many people and everyone comes away saying the same thing.
Yeah. Like and I feel like that's like when, you know, you've found a legit, like, cause you know me, I'll be this person. If you meet me in person, I'll be this person. If you get me on a stream,
you'll just be a lot taller in person than on camera.
Lot taller, right? Not 5'6" like everybody believes I am. But I feel like Clark is one of those people that like I only knew him from passing on Twitter, right? Like, and I knew what he was about and what he did, and that like when I know that people I love like you, I know I'm going to have a good combo with you. But when we got on the line, I mean, we just like I said, I think we only scheduled for like 45 minutes, and we ended up
for like 2 hours.
2 hours.
It's probably his pitfall. He probably never gets anything done because he always does that in such a good way. But that's what like everyone says the same thing.
100%.
Jacob's going definitely to that conf. I think we talked about that.
I gotta bring up the
that's exciting.
I'm excited to see you there. Here.
Are you looking to potentially go as well?
I would like to, yeah. I mean, I think I would probably go even if we like we're still contemplating, I think, sponsorship too. But I think I would go even if we didn't sponsor it. Honestly, dude, I've talked to you about this too. Like I'd almost prefer my DevRel team to go as community members sometimes because it's like that's where you get the real, you know, feedback and like, you know, if if your whole goal is awareness at a conference, like there's really fun ways to do it with a booth, but I think there's even more fun ways for me to be like out to dinner and be able to
Yep.
answer you directly about questions you
Absolutely.
have, you know?
Yep. I agree. CD Villard said value of conferences is networking. Yes. Also said that they would make it out to that conf. Why not this one? Jacob is 20 to 25 minutes away, which is perfect.
Oh,
It's such a
that's
good
sick.
experience. It's also is so cool because when you have everybody at the same venue, and it's not just a hotel, it's a resort, which is nice in and of itself. But that what that means is like people don't have to go other places to find food, for example. They can all be in one area. And so you're not trying to track people down. You're not trying to fight to figure out like which group you're going with while you leave another one.
Right.
Like you have everybody in the same big space, but confined space of this resort. And so you can do everything there with everyone
I
up to
also
whatever
love
your
that he
limits
was
are.
like, yeah, like mad families come out. He's like,
Yeah.
it's not just like the dev of the family. It's like their wife, husband,
Yep.
whatever, kids flying around everywhere. Like that's
Reset.
reality. Like, you know
Yep.
what I mean? And that's I think that goes back to what I was saying of like we're coming back from the pandemic where nobody knows what
To do.
reality is anymore. And I feel like Clark really was like, yeah, dude, like if you're gonna come out to a conference, we should make it a thing
Yep.
for your family to be able to enjoy and not just you.
Yep. So this past summer in Wisconsin, which I'll take my shout out from Dev. Dev mentioned that I keynoted at that conference in Wisconsin, which is true. I also keynoted back in Texas, both of which were a blast. But over the
You're a
summer,
phenomenal speaker, dude. I've now gotten to see it in person, brother.
really? Yeah.
You really be holding the room. I'd tell you if you sucked. You know I'd tell you if you sucked. You
Appreciate
were
that.
really
I'm
I
a
think my first time seeing it was actually in Render.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a I'm a competitive speaker in the sense that I'm dissecting other speakers
Right.
all the time. Like I'm really paying attention and trying to make that because I really want this to be a bigger and bigger thing for me. Like
Sure.
I've talked a lot about diversifying income and I want paid speaking opportunities to be like a significant portion of the
Yeah.
things that I do. And anyway, so
I'm trying to get into like emceeing like
yeah,
more
dude,
often.
I'm
So
so
excited for
excited.
Miami, dude.
Yes. I have to send in a CFP. So I need to get that in, but I'm hoping I end up there with you.
That would be I'd love it to look out in the crowd and see your face
I know.
smiling back up at me or
I know.
frowning because you're like, what is this guy doing?
It's definitely gonna be awkward, but in such a fun way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like me and Will, so at least I have Will to fall back on.
Yes. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome, dude. I'm so
What a
excited about
duo,
that.
right? Having Clerk and
I know.
Auth Zero up on stage together. Love that.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Isn't that funny?
Oh, if
Hilarious.
you don't come prepared with like shit talking meme or like puns or whatever at the other, I will
Honestly,
consider that a
you're
failure.
not at all prepared for some of the ideas that me and Mr. William Johnson have.
uh, that's gonna be so good. What I was saying about that conference, by the way, somebody mentioned the family staycation. I brought Jess came, still on maternity leave. Jamie, baby came, and then my sister and her husband and three boys came too.
Hell
And
yeah.
we had a blast. Yeah.
I love that.
CD Villard said money is why I can't come to that conference. Not all of us get that budget. Totally fair. CD, do you have a work budget at all for that sort of stuff? I also have been wanting to give away some tickets.
Yeah.
Does I assume like one of the things that's expensive is hotel, right? Because you're having to pay
Yeah.
$200 a
Flights.
night or whatever, and flights. So that's expensive. So CD, feel free to DM me if you want to like explore whether or not I can help make that happen. Don't know if I can or not, but would love to try to figure it out. Because that conference deserves more attention and more people there. Like it's just so good. And especially with Austin, with it being new, like I really want that to just grow because there's such a good community there. And I think so many people would get so much out of coming.
Love that.
Someone this is totally different. Question on YouTube. What is your take on a full battery included framework like Ruby on Rails in the JavaScript world we're living in? Have you ever done Ruby on Rails?
That's actually what I learned in my boot camp. So
Nice.
that was like I got out and was like, I'm a Ruby on Rails engineer. And everyone was like, no, you're not. What are you talking about? It was like one of those things where like I felt like you put into a boot camp and it's so great because you feel so powerful. like, yeah, there's strict lines in which it keeps you inside of, which is like the greatest part of giving it to a boot camper. But like then you really have a lot of the world of Ruby to learn, right? And that
Mhm.
ecosystem.
I'm sending a message in Twitch. I could just respond to Jacob. Mention that Cloudflare has a big presence in Austin as well. Yeah, I want to just like reach out to people in Austin because again, there's so many companies. Yeah, if you don't mind sending me like a name or two that I could reach out to. I have known several, but I don't know if they still work there.
Right.
So
The
that's
constant shift in the
yeah,
tech world, it's like,
I'd have to check. CD said last time I got a comped, the ticket was a freebie and my job paid for everyone else or everything else. Not sure. Um, got a senior role. I insist you use that for someone who's getting into.
what a guy.
Yeah, fair enough. Just DM me anyway. Um, we'll see. Yeah, it's all about just finding the right people. That's the thing. Like, I would love to do the same thing for someone newer, but also just want to make sure that someone that's going to get something out of it. And that's you just never know when it's kind of like random people of the internet.
Yeah.
So that's one of the challenges too. Oh, Jacob was at Cloudflare.
Yeah. We just
Wow.
scooped up a
Pulled him
Cloudflare.
away. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. Well, that makes sense then. Why he would be connected.
Yeah, he was on was it Wrangler? Was the CLI for
Oh
Cloudflare?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think he was doing that for a while.
cool.
Smart dude.
So
Beautiful person. Workers team. I lied.
beautiful, like face wise,
Like
or
it's really in the beard. I think it's like a lot to do with the beard. Like
I think you're biased.
it's mostly what I'm looking for.
I figured.
Yeah.
I
At the
love
end of
it.
the
The
day.
workers team. That's cool. When you said when you said Ruby on Rails, did out of the JavaScript stuff that you've done in the last several years, any thoughts on like Ruby on Rails versus JavaScript stuff that you've done?
I feel like a lot of the ecosystem, like every time something starts to get batteries included, it becomes that like, is this just like the Ruby on Rails of right, like remix, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that was like the de facto,
And
everyone kind
Redwood
of Redwood, right?
and Blitz.
I
Yeah.
think that it's like when and so I've been in web for probably coming up on like 8-ish years now. I'm still so new. So like I came in when like tooling was at its best, right? Like a lot of the headaches that a lot of people have had the pain of going through in their career, I never really had to hit those pain spots. And I also like all of my career has been in JavaScript, so I haven't spent any time in any other ecosystem besides my early like time in Ruby on Rails. And so like I love the ability to invoke my opinion in a project. And by that I mean I love being able to say
Make
I like
decisions.
this piece of the
Yeah.
product to be with this provider and or this
Mhm.
technology piece, right? So that like kind of plug and play ecosystem, which I think turns a lot of people away. They're like, I wish you would just handle it and I'll get out of the way and build a thing.
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot of sense for people that are on tight deadlines or companies that have specific rules about how their code is set up. So I wouldn't say that I dislike the idea of that like monolithic decisions made for you framework ideology. I really love being able to make a choice depending on the project that I'm making. I also do different things, right? Like I'm not shipping like all of my toy apps to production and trying to get hundreds of thousands of users. So like I'm speaking kind of out of my ass in that way, but I also think that it's really nice
As you
when
do.
you look at these, as I do, when you look at these frameworks who are starting to build in opinions and solutions for you, it really starts to make you at the end of the day, it's like how fast can you ship? How fast can you move a thing across the line? I literally just tweeted about this the other day. Like, I don't give a single damn what you use to build the thing. Like, I will never be the guy in your tweet threads arguing about this being better or that being better. Every company Clerk, I work at Clerk. Do I want people to use Clerk? Hell yeah. Do I think it's going to take a lot of the trouble out of the way for some people that are building? 100%. Do I think it's for everybody? No.
Yeah.
Is everybody going to love it? Definitely not. Like, we're still building, but I think all products, like, you have to find what works for you. And, early in my career, I looked up to Nader Dabit a lot in the way that he handled working at AWS. He was the first to be like, yeah, this piece of AWS sucks. You know what I mean? Or this
As a
part of
person
my
working for
product
AWS, yeah.
sucks. You shouldn't do it. And so for me, it's like, I don't know. I care less about how you built it and more about why you're building it, right? Like for me, I just want you to, and so everybody gets locked up in like, what is the this person's opinion and should I be using this and that. I'm going to tell you the truth. People are shipping without any of these things in their hands. Like, you'll see a ton of like front end masters, right? Front end masters always talks about how their entire stack is just vanilla JS, and
which I didn't know until recently because someone called me out because I was like, there's literally never a use case for me to just use vanilla JavaScript, and they were like, front end, or I was also projecting and saying there's not a use case for me, but I can't understand why
you would do
and
it.
I don't think anyone would do that. And they were like front end masters, and I was like, what?
Yeah, and like you look at a platform like that, and you're automatically assuming like, yeah, this probably built in, but like you can build if you have the skill set to do so, you can build with anything. Like you could spin up the same app across Remix. You can get out of React altogether using Vue. You can use 11D. You can still ship.
Astro.
You can ship a lot. Astro, like it's really flavor, and what flavor mixes with your needs. So I don't know. I think as much as people love to get like up in arms about opinions, we live in the coolest freaking part of the ecosystem, man. Like, we have, I mean, dude, I literally sit here and converse with a freaking AI every day just to like move myself quickly.
Just to feel something.
Just to feel something. Cause I don't have friends. So like at the end of the day, he's my only friend. I literally wake up and I'm like, act like my friend today. And it's like, I don't really want to, Dom.
He's like, I got you. He's like, I'm legally required to do what you say.
Dev also here's why you should be using Clerk.
I will say, like, just because you're not just because you're here, because I tried it. It was exactly, this stream was very easy because it was exactly what I expected. And so for the things that I've done, which is the core basic things, and it goes beyond that, everything works like it should. One thing I would be interested in, this is specifically Jacob, thanks for sending that DM, by the way. An Auth thing in comparison to Auth0 is, do you have the ability to protect your own separate APIs by doing authenticated user on the front end, which generates a JWT that you can send to a separate backend API if it's not in Next.js, and then validate that thing?
Yeah, so you can still use Clerk for JWT creation. That's like, if you look at any of our integrations out in the wild, like 90% of the work on Clerk side is just handing over a JWT so that they can go and, like, for instance, like Supabase going and creating like RLS, right? Like they are doing that through utilizing Clerk utilities to generate the JWT that protects that row.
Cool. Okay.
So there's definitely like, this is, I think, the world of Clerk in which like the DX of the initialization of your Clerk project is so phenomenal. I think that there's a lot of work that we're going to continue to do to beef up those lower level pieces of the pie, but they all exist currently. And our engineering team is working pretty actively on making it easier to build building blocks for your own SDKs, which is really cool. So like, working on trying to build out those low level APIs to make a lot of that passing of keys around easier, a lot of the generation of it easier. More straightforward. But yeah, I mean, the docs are in flux now. I mean, we've got Rachel Neighbors on the team, so like about to have the best docs in the game. So I'm really excited
hiring
for that.
Like really well, it seems like
big time Avengers vibes.
Yep, I like it.
100%.
Who I don't know if I know Roy. Is Roy part of?
Yeah,
Clerk?
Roy's on our developer success team.
Cool. Okay.
Absolute ass kicker. Love that guy.
Yeah, so y'all were doing really well with hiring, and then you hired Jacob, is what happened, unfortunately.
Really, it was they hired me, and it was like,
and then you fucked it all
what
up for everybody
really
else.
happened. Yeah, exactly right.
Just based on the title of the stream, someone joined on YouTube, Casey, what's up, by the way, and commented on Astro and Clerk. So I did go through the basics of Next.js and Clerk. Haven't done anything with Astro and Clerk. Is there a direct integration with Astro?
No, not yet. That's something like I can outwardly say I'm pushing on really heavily internally. I'm a big fan of Astro. I'm a big fan of Fred. Like, I love the way that they're doing things. I love their community. I just keep up with a lot of the way in which they progress, and I'm really impressed by like their growth over the last year. So Ben recently tweeted that he had built like a kind of like fast and dirty solution using Cloudflare. It's not great right now. The cool thing is that Astro recently released their own middleware that makes it a lot easier
Oh,
for us
what? Really?
to, yes, for us to be able to hook in and do a similar kind of style middleware flow that we do with Next, where we kind of start at the middleware and then,
Hmm.
because like the big thing, right, is it's like
I didn't know
injecting
that.
the session all around the app.
Yeah.
That's like because you
Yep.
have to inject the session in the front end and in the back end.
Yep.
And so having that user data available in both scenarios really starts at how you handle the middleware. So there's still some work that could be done that needs to get done on if there were to be an official like Astro
Yep.
SDK. But I think, like I said, what they're working on more so right now is to build out the building blocks to make it easier for others to do this on their own. If they were to be like, if someone were to be like, man, I really wish there was an Astro Clerk SDK that was official, I'm just going to roll one on my own. We want to make that easier for people.
Yep. And a lot of that stuff is so much of the same. Like it's the same logic. You just have to figure out how to tap into the frameworks, SDKs, like whatever methodology they use for that. I think I'm a huge fan of Astro. I think developer experience, they have absolutely crushed for everything that they've done.
Yeah.
I think they're going to continue to get better and better with backend stuff because although they can do, in theory, everything backend, they don't yet because that's not what they started.
I think they actually they coined themselves a backend framework.
What did they? I can't remember what it was. The web framework that scales with you.
Yeah.
And they talk about building powerful web applications, dynamic server APIs, everything in between, which is absolutely true.
Yeah.
When people ask me now, like, if you were building a full dashboard application or something, would you use Astro? My answer is no, only because Next.js, Remix, FeltKit, they've done that type of thing longer.
Yeah.
It's not going to be long for me, I don't think, from my perspective, until Astro is like, I'm going to use Astro because they just nail user experience or developer experience.
They also have a lot of the primitives already there. They just need to build it into like the DX that they are expecting from it.
100%.
And they also, I think they're working with a lot of like the providers, because like, here's another thing too, is like, I worked at Netlify for like almost 2 years, right? So like I got really deep into like
is it almost 2 years?
It was like a year and a half that I was there. I got really deep into like looking at the comparisons of like, okay, I'm in Netlify, but what's better about Vercel? What's better about going and hosting on Fly or going, Railway? Like what are these hosting patterns that everybody takes? And I think when you look at frameworks, right, like Next.js is so tightly coupled to Vercel that it's
someone asked
like,
about that earlier.
You know what I mean? Like they make it competitively so to make it easier to deploy on Vercel. But then you've got companies like Astro who are not tied to a specific provider. As in they were created in a more open source way, right? And so now you've got them thinking of primitives that can hook into like Netlify, for instance, right? Like Netlify, the one thing I really liked about them and building with them was I could put a functions folder and like the primitives that they built are movable from framework to framework, right? And so Vercel has these same building blocks now because they realize like, yes, people are going to use Next. They're going to love the Next and Vercel experience, but
they also
people are going to use SvelteKit. People are going to use like, and how do we start?
And now they fund.
And now they fund
Rich.
Svelte and right. And so like, I think I'm excited to see how Astro continues to build the primitives that can move cross service, right? Like how do I have middleware that I build with Astro that works on Netlify or my own, hand rolled solution or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. Dev says, are you DevRelling Netlify or Clerk right now?
I DevRel for the web, baby. What are you saying?
That's right. I think also things like an integration with Clerk make people realize the full stack capabilities of Astro. So not putting pressure on you, but if there was
put some pressure on me.
Like that would be one of those things, but you also have to make an educated decision of it takes a lot of effort to create.
And effort,
takes a lot of effort to maintain. Yeah,
educate.
You have to be intentional about it. Yeah.
Oh absolutely. Yeah. And that's like I think a lot of people miss that about what DevRel is, right? Like what do I do? What is my job, right? My job is really to like, how do I find the right amount of input from people like you and the rest of the community of asking for these things? And then how do I make it so that it means something to the business, right? Like, how do I go to the Eng team and be like, hey, I know you have 3 months planned out. How do I scope in a month of work to do this thing? And what does it mean for the outcome? So like, yeah, this is super helpful stuff to hear. And like, just to let you know, this is exactly what I'm saying internally. I think that there's a lot of really cool things that open up once we support Astro, or even like just the Vite, like like that the entire Vite ecosystem is growing so rapidly. I think I saw Remix went and adopted Vite internally as well. So I think that there's a lot of, and we have like a Remix SDK as well. So like I think there's it's not far out, if anything. I don't have dates. Nobody's given me confirmation, so I'm not going to say anything like that. But it's definitely something on my radar that I take very seriously because I love Astro too. I love the team. Fred is an absolute maniac. I love that guy, and the only person I think I can give hugs eye to eye with.
Oh, is he super tall?
It's a tall dude.
Lucky.
Not really.
Yeah, it's hard because you have to bend down and stuff. I'm gonna share my screen for one more thing, and then I have to go get ready for Halloween.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's always more fun than I care to admit to have you on and just chat with you.
Just because I love you so much.
I know. So I was gonna call this out in your favor.
Yeah.
So we mentioned people have the ability to do tailwind apply to style those like login and
yeah, if you're in like
up.
a bare CSS file, that's how you'd have to do it, but you can do it straight from the appearance prop as tailwind.
Yeah, that's cool. So this is just an object that has here's a different elements that you have cool? Inside of it, and then add the tailwind classes.
Go to your sign-in page for me.
Well, I don't know where it is because I've been doing stuff behind the scenes. Like my hay up here.
Cool. So I love that hay.
Text. Yep.
Hit me with an inspect on the sign-in component. So you'll see if you actually dig in here. Okay, cool. Even right here, you see how it's CL card, CL sign-in start, and then you see that lock. So CL internal with that hash at the end, that is a locked class. So you can't change that class, right? You can't target that class. Anything that doesn't have the lock, that's what gets utilized inside of appearance and overrides in CSS. So if you're ever trying to be like, how do I target this specific piece of the component? So for instance, like when I was doing the Planet Scale Clerk project, I wanted to theme Shad CN UI's theming across all of my components. And so I was able to go in and like intricately like style out individual pieces of the forms, the appearance of the user profile, modal, like all of that through this.
So is this lock? Is that a CSS thing?
So that's like something we've included to show you that like you can't actually do the CL.
So this is not internal. Like a CSS. It's not like a CSS feature.
No, that's like something we've.
I was like, what the hell? CSS is doing crazy stuff. So this is actually like just a make-believe class that you added with the lock icon.
So that's like a generated class that we use internally to style it ourselves.
Yeah.
But then we like CL header, CL main, CL footer. Those are things that you can target yourself.
That's funny. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's hilarious. Yeah,
it's
CSS
definitely
something. Feature.
It's definitely something that we want to educate better because I think that there's a lot that goes into doing your own custom theming. But I think it's like for me, shilling aside, I just like to be able to like do it out the gate to be able to be like, oh, I want this to be purple. I can do that.
Yeah. This is like a little bit of competitive advantage for you. This is the number one thing that people asked about with Auth0 all the time was an embedded sign-in form because yours by default redirects to a hosted sign-in provider,
which is nice too. I do like the idea of hosted because then you really offload a lot of the work and don't need to do a lot. But so many more people want control.
Yep.
I think one of the things that we're working on next would be to figure out how to let you like add new pieces to the form. So like if you wanted to add a new like a new input, like what you can't do that right now, right? Like that only exists as you basically would have to go back to the dashboard. You can only activate what exists there. But say you want to do something that sends off to your DB, right? What would that look like? So yeah, I think that's something that we're really interested in doing next is like how do we start to
custom flows for forms,
give you more customization options out the box.
Cool. I like that. Yeah, one of the use cases been talking to Zeta about is the like apparently James had really talked about this. He called them tenant tables, which I never heard this term, but basically like Clerk is storing user stuff, right? Like a user table and password and things like that.
Yeah.
But then you also probably in your own application want to have some additional properties or preferences or whatever. And those tables, like every piece of data that I associate is just based on the user ID that
right
Clerk gives me. And that's what I don't know if you call it this part of the stream, but I have
Yeah, you did that with your folders where you attached it
yep,
to the user
inside of
ID
Zeta.
that we
Yep,
generate and hold.
yep.
Yeah.
And then now you have that mix of stuff that's
That
back and forth.
two-way. Yeah. And so like it's really cool because you can like we use Svix for our webhooks and all of the way because there's so much ways that you can start to hook into the data flows of Clerk to do data syncing. But Clerk also gives you like metadata on the user
On the
object
user object.
itself.
Yeah.
So public and private. So,
Mhm.
if you're like, for instance, Jacob is working on some Stripe stuff right now, right? And he's showing how to create a subscription through Stripe and have users and do all of this without a database. Like only these two services will allow you to have users store info about the user session
Mhm.
from Stripe and subscriptions that they create inside of the metadata field. So
Yep.
definitely be on the lookout for that because the I think in the beginning, even before I joined Clerk, the big thing was like ditch your user table and just use Clerk, right? Like that's not realistic. Like if you are building a gigantic app that has so much connections and relationship building, you're not going to be able to do that as easily, right? But the fact that you can start a very simple like SaaS app and not have to spin up a DB at all
Yep.
and just use two services, I just feel like that's so powerful.
Yep. Roy was kind of adding on to the idea of using Clerk as your true of truth. Is that real? Is that right?
You're
True
true
of
of
truth?
truth.
For the main user table, add user tenant table in your DB to extend that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Which this is the same use case that we had at Auth0 too. So there was also metadata that you could use like built into user storage in Auth0, but it
Yeah.
also had limits.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to just go full out like whatever you want, then you do that in your source of truth.
Yeah, we're actually
Your
working
true
on.
of
I think one
truth.
of the things that you start to get into is like rate limits because you have to actually access
Yeah,
like
the
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 underlying
underlying
Clerk
API.
client. Yeah.
Same thing. Yeah.
So we're working on that with Cloudflare to figure out how can we start like caching session data, how can we start making it easier to
Mhm.
interact with the data that exists. So, it's these are all, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Like all of the even the biggest player of Auth0 runs into these same types
Mhm.
of limitations.
Yep.
So yeah, it's dope, dude. I like it, so before Zeta, I wasn't like a big database professional. It's not like I had like tons of experience
Yep.
scaling DBs and creating
Same.
schemas. And so I came away from Zeta just having much better all around understanding of the types of problems that people who do, interact with databases have.
Yep.
And so since joining Clerk, I mean, it's only been 3 months, which is crazy.
I
But
know.
since joining Clerk, I've gotten to expand upon that knowledge and really learn about like the whole authentication flow, which I know you like getting into Auth0, you were like the
Never knew
information is
anything.
so
Yeah.
vast. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a lot of fun.
It is cool. I almost think that's like a kind of it could be an intentional stepping stone in people's career. Not that this is what it is for you, but like going from very different technologies gives you a reason to understand and learn a lot more about
More of the stack,
those.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was such a
Absolutely.
front end bum, right? Like
Yeah.
I had
And now you've
no
been forced
clear.
to do database, now to do authentication, and it just makes like more and more well rounded. So
Hell yeah.
Um, all right, I need to run. We're getting ready for Halloween. One of our best friends is in town. We're also going to my sister's house to trick or treat. It's like 40 degrees here, which is the first
Dude,
actual
it's
cold
so
day.
cold in Philly too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Apparently, our friend Rachel came from New York. Apparently, it wasn't that cold. Like, it's colder here than it was in
Dude,
New
it was
York.
like hot, like
Yeah.
really hot during the week, and then now it's like, yeah,
Now it's
like
getting down. Yeah.
super cold, which I like a little cold, so
I like the cold.
hell yeah.
Although with a 5-month-old going out in the 40 degrees is kind of interesting. So we'll
Yeah,
see how that goes.
you just wrap them up like a cocoon and hope for the
Yes.
best, right?
That's right. All right. I don't see anyone on Twitch that I know to send people to, so I'm probably just gonna bail on that, or just like bail. Period.
Thanks for having me
Hopefully,
on, dude.
thank you for joining. I'll be doing more of this as I'm building a public, so keep an
Cool.
eye out for questions and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, I'll send in my CFP for React Miami. Hopefully, get in. See you
Yeah,
there.
you better be there, brother.
I'm hoping so.
I'll put in a good word, Michelle.
I've had a few people do that already, and I will definitely
I mean, honestly,
take
I
an
said
extra one.
that, and realistically, Michelle doesn't give a single shit about my words. So I think that's what I
Uh,
love about her the most is like that's why React Miami is so good because she really knows what she
yeah.
wants it to be. I
Yep.
love that.
I've
Um,
heard that in a good way also. So,
yeah. Oh yeah,
um,
man. Well, thanks y'all. Thanks for having me out,
yeah,
and
man.
yeah, feel free to
Later.
hit me up and whatever you need. I'm here.
Sweet. See ya.
Later, y'all.